was literally looking around for my glasses just now, and they were on the bed, like literally right in front of me, and I didn't see them there. Jesus. So I always have this question, right? Glasses or no glasses? But now I have a new one, right? So the new one is backdrop. Curtain or no curtain? What looks cooler? I can't tell. This looks like I'm broadcasting from like the inside of a dressing room. I don't know. Does that look cooler, or does this... What gives me more podcast cred? Right? Curtain or no curtain? So again, curtain as a backdrop. Talking, yap, yap, yap. Or clothing as a backdrop. Does that make me look more elegant? What's the go-to? What's the vote? I gotta do like a poll in the chat here. Close the curtain! Okay, alright. Curtain's closed. That answers that. Immediately the first response is the opposite of what I want to do. So I'm like, alright. Alright, I lose this round. I am now having... It is after 5 o'clock, by the way. So I'm having my mid-afternoon cocktail. It is now... This means it is illegal for you guys to bully me for drinking too early in the day. Like, I know during my live streams, it's normally like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So technically that is kind of early for drinking. But there's something really nice about like an early afternoon beer. And, just having a beer, going out, sitting by the pool. Ooh, that's nice. I know it is not the most appealing color right now. It's kind of like piss colored. Well, beer is kind of piss colored too. But it is Jack Daniel's Honey Whiskey, which is actually good just to sip on. And then lemonade. Simply pure lemonade. Really, really good stuff. So I was at the UCLA Gaza protest, the encampment there. I brought some water and some trail mix and stuff like that to them. And I gotta tell you, the corporate media, the shit that they're saying and the narrative that they're pushing, it's despicable what they're saying, because it's completely horseshit is what it is. It's just people there, and they've got tents, and they're sitting, they're eating, they're talking, they were praying. And then they had like this talking group where they would pass the mic around, and it was like something out of a fucking sitcom, I swear to God. It was the most cliche, like, share your feelings kind of group. They had one person up in the front, and she's like, so we really need to talk about bringing the country and the world together. Yeah, over Gaza. How about everybody takes a minute and pairs up in groups of 3s and 4s, and let's just find a solution to world peace. It was like so fucking stereotypical. Like, honestly, it was like the kind of thing that you would see in like Beavis and Butthead, where it's like this really peaceful moment, and then they walk in like, yeah, let's like solve world peace and stuff. Yeah, but first find nachos. yeah, group, come on, let's find nachos. It was unbelievably dumb. I mean, it's good-natured, right? It's good-hearted, but like, I'm thinking corporate media is saying those people are terrorists? Are you fucking kidding me? Those people? And that's who, like, the LAPD and all these NYPD and all these police officers need to point fucking sniper rifles at? Are people sitting in that group? And then there's another people literally, like, fucking finger painting. They're just sitting there, and they're making, like, little murals and arts and messages and stuff, and it's like, that's what you need to point guns at? My God, man. My fucking God. Because they'll point guns at that, but then when the fucking... Remember when... Uvalde, that criminal that shot up the kids in the school, the cops are all gung-ho to go after unarmed Gaza protesters. But boy, once someone else has an AR-15, they run like a fucking dog under the porch. It's really kind of unbelievable. And I had someone in my Twitter mentions earlier today. I think he was trying to say that someone at one of the protests, I don't know if it was UCLA or it's probably just photoshopped, who knows, these people are all liars. But he had showed a picture of someone at one of the protests, and they had like a Hezbollah flag. I think that's what it was. And he was so smug about, oh yeah, well, disprove this. like it was some fucking gotcha. I don't give a fuck if they have a Hezbollah flag. Yeah, Hezbollah is a fucking terrible organization. And guess what? The organizers of those protests disavow people like that. They don't want them in. They don't want them to be associated with. But dipshits like that guy use them as ammunition to try and discredit the protests. But yes, my God, a piece of fabric with the Hezbollah picture on it is so much worse than people being executed in a hospital naked and with their hands tied behind their back and then buried in a mass grave. You got me, guy. You got me. It's unfucking believable. So while I was there, yeah, it was just a totally peaceful thing. They had like a really big cookout going on. I mean, it was very peaceful. The only times it wasn't peaceful were when these jerk-offs, like that person in my Twitter mentions, come in and trying to start shit. That's when it wasn't peaceful. Because they're like trying to paint shit. They were trying to hang up a banner, I think. And then a couple of assholes came over and started to like tear the banner down. And the campus security, to their credit, called out those guys. They're like, no, you're fucking agitating. Stop that shit. So kudos to that guy. I didn't tell him thank you. I should have in hindsight. But he was like, no, you're agitating. You're trying to instigate something. Knock it off. I see you. I know what you're trying to do. And it's like, yeah, dude, that's how this should work. This is very simple. These people are not. And what was funny is then I was trying to kind of heckle the guy that was, the asshole that was trying to tear shit down. And the protesters and the organizers were like, no, don't engage. And I was like, okay, my bad. So I was the asshole for trying to like counter instigate, I guess. I was counter instigating the instigator, and they told me no. So if these people are really like terrorists and violent and racist, seems weird that they would want to de-escalate things rather than let me just go ape shit and ham on the guy, right? It's total bullshit. And then you had this one jerk off try to come in through the encampment, and he's like trying to film, he's a fucking TikTok prick, and trying to film everybody. And not everybody at those places want their picture taken or to be in video or to be used for your propaganda horse shit on Tim Pool's podcast. They don't want that. So the protesters have a really kind of brilliant system. The guy comes in and he's trying to like talk shit to everybody, so they kind of get blankets and they just hold up blankets in front of his camera and they kind of gather around him. So, it's one guy and there's like 4 or 5 people around him. They're just holding up blankets everywhere he tries to film. So he can't get any footage for his propaganda and his rage bait click horse shit, right? And then, the guy starts getting really, really aggressive and starts pushing them. He starts shouting at them, starts yelling at them. And the protesters, again, weren't even going in a back and forth dialogue with him. They were just saying, look, you can leave, but stop. And that's like all they said. And then he would try to argue with them. And they just wouldn't. They just held up the blankets and just kind of mostly ignored him. And then a lot of the other people in the encampment would do the same thing. They'd still be fucking around with their little fucking 4th grade finger painting crap, right? And then the guy continued to get like more and more aggressive as the protesters are trying to block him. So then more people had to go there. So finally they were trying to move him out because he was getting so aggressive. He's pushing people. So what they did, like the guy's in the center here, right? And they form like a U, kind of like this, I guess, if you can see that, right? And the guy's like right here, a ring of people locking arms. And then they just kind of slowly start walking. They'd like count to 3 and then they would say, okay, 1, 2, 3, push. And then they would slowly kind of move the guy closer and closer to the exit. So then the U is like this, and the only way to go is out that way, and that's where the exit was. And the guy would like dig in his heels and was refusing to go. And it's like, you're not there for any peaceful purpose. You're there to be an asshole. They want you to leave, and rather than doing the polite thing, you're there to instigate shit, which he was doing from the get-go. But I just thought that was a really brilliant system, the way they had that, to have it set up and very peacefully and non-aggressively slowly kind of move him out. And then I think at one point they couldn't get him any further, so they just stood there in a circle, and like the only place he could get, because he couldn't break through all these people, the only way for him to go was out. So I think he ended up just like sitting on the ground or standing there on his fucking phone filming. It was really kind of ingenious. But again, like if this was such a racist, terrorist, opportunity, why in the hell are they so peaceful about getting the guy out? Wouldn't they just bonk him on the head and drag his fucking unconscious body out? It makes no sense. And there we go in with the problem. Corporate media, because it's the power structure, it's the status quo, they want to frame this in a way that takes power away from the people. Because these protests are fueled 100% by the people, not by the elites, not by the electeds. This is fueled 100% by people experiencing this, knowing that our taxpayer dollars are going to this genocide, this bombing campaign, where children of as young as 7 years old are getting shot and sniped through the fucking forehead. And they say, no, they don't want that anymore. So that's where this movement is coming from. And that threatens the power, the power structure, the dynamic, and the status quo. People who are in charge, they don't want that. Because if the people start having the power, then we get to call the shots. Then our taxpayer dollars won't go to fund some 2,000 fucking pound bomb to be dropped on a house of 4 people. It'll go towards our healthcare. It'll go towards paying off student debt. It'll go towards public housing. It'll go towards anything other than this genocide. So naturally, that's why you see such a forceful movement by the people in power to try and stop us. Another thing that I found so amazing is this all really, really sparked with Colombia. You know, because the protesters had an encampment there. And it wasn't getting a lot of attention until that dumbass president of Colombia called in and sicked the NYPD on the protesters, and then they started a cop riot. And all this violence took place. And it's like, had you just fucking ignored them, they would have gone away. All of these protests, whatever was Black Lives Matter in 2020 or now this, so many times these protests are starting to fizzle out. People are getting ready to go home, and then the cops show up, and then they raise the temperature. And the cops, you have to remember, they are not there to help you. They're not there to protect you. They're there to protect property and the elites. That's what they're there for. That is their whole goal, is to maintain the status quo. They do not care about your safety. They do not care about taking legal actions. They will violate the law at every opportunity, and they'll get away with it. And again, if the people have the power, they wouldn't be able to. They would be prosecuted for these crimes. And the other thing that's a problem with this dynamic of power with the corporate media is that they have this encampment there, and the cameras are all pointed on them. But now look, I wasn't there for like all the entire time, but from what I observed, from what it looked like, I didn't hear a lot of the camera people, the news folks, talking to the protesters or the organizers. There wasn't a lot of camera time or interviews given to the people saying, hey, we are here because of this, because we're tired of this genocide, and it needs to be stopped. We need to divest from this, right? They don't get a megaphone from the media to talk about why they are there. But the moment these instigators, like that asshole that I was telling you about, trying to push through the camp and film everybody, or the jerk off trying to tear down the signs, they immediately turn the cameras, and these jerk offs get all the attention. And by the way, you had that same guy that tried to tear down the sign. You want to talk about racism? He was telling these people, go back to Gaza. Go back to where you came from. That's fucking racist. By and large. Under any other circumstances, if it was told to a Jewish person or a black person or a Mexican person, it's racist, hands down. But because it's told to Palestinian people and people of, Middle Eastern descent, all the normal rules against racism go out the window. And that's the problem, is that the corporate media is not there to get the facts. They are not there to report on the actual issues, on the actual story. They are simply there for the rage bait. That's why every time these assholes try to instigate something, they turn the cameras on them. And not only did they turn the cameras on the people that were the bad actors, the racists that were saying, go back to your country, go back to Gaza, they give them all that airtime, they give them their 15 minutes of fame. Not once did they turn the camera back over to the protesters and say, can you tell me more about why you're here? Why are you hanging up this sign? Why is this sign important to you? What could you have been doing today other than this? Why are you willing to give all of that up and be here? Not once did they do that. You're so handsome. Oh, Quadzilla. You. Oh, you. You flatter me every time in here. So that's the story. That's what's going on there. Quadzilla, I appreciate the compliment. Yesiariska? I don't know how to pronounce that. I apologize. I'm just going to call you Yessie. Is that fair? You literally got in right as I was about to wrap this live show up. Beaked Zuni, welcome. The takeaway while you guys are here is that the protests were peaceful. And the instigators, the bad people, the actual racists were the ones trying to start shit that were not part of the movement. They were not part of the encampment. They were there intentionally hostile, trying to get their 15 minutes of fame. So don't buy into this this media bullshit about this being a pro-Hamas movement. Pro-Hamas? Are you fucking stupid? Those students probably can't even spell Hamas, and they're in school. So don't give me that horse shit. Anyway, that wraps up my live stream, and as you can see, I have a lot more to drink. Beth Mauser, welcome. I'll give a few seconds here if there's any questions you have. Beth Mauser, I haven't seen you before, so I think you are just getting... Everybody's always joining like right at the last second when I'm literally was about to hit the X button to log off, and then you people joined in, which is good. Thank you for being here. Honestly, I mean that. But it's just funny because I got done with all my ranting. Yeah, it's a peaceful movement. And again, there was one moment that was really interesting for me was when they had the I guess it was some kind of Muslim prayer happening, because they put a mat down, a big tarp rather, and everyone kind of they got down and they faced towards the sun. So I think that's part of the Muslim prayer, right? And they knelt, and they did the bowing thing, whatever you want to call it, and then I don't know what it's called. I know there's like a rabbi and a priest, but I don't know what it's called for a Muslim person that's speaking about God. Anyway, they were doing that. They were doing like their afternoon prayer or whatever it is, and then the protesters got up and formed a ring around the square so that they could have some privacy while they were praying. Because, the vultures of the agitators and the camera people were all trying to get a moment. I'm like, Jesus Christ. They're trying to film them praying? What in the hell is wrong with these people? Let them fucking pray. How weird are you? How weird are you that you would rather film them praying than you would go in there and talk to them and say, hey, why is this important to you? Jesus, that's like trying to fucking film someone while they're on the toilet. Give them a fucking minute apiece. Let's have some beverages together. Quadzilla, I don't think I knew you. What's your name? Richie? I'm sorry if I don't know. Here's what I hate about Instagram, right? Is that I could have like my best friend or my family in here, and because it goes by username and the profile pictures are so fucking small, I wouldn't know who it is. So Quadzilla, I don't know if you're in LA, maybe that's a possibility. You can always come to one of my shows. I have another one May 16th. So make sure you tune in for that. I'll be posting flyers and stuff as we get to it. And then I have another one in June 20th, June 2nd? No. 14th? Anyway, I have one in May and I have one in June. Altadena, okay, so that's not too far. Anyway, yeah, message me, I guess. I'll see what I can do. No promises. I unfortunately am kind of packed with the stuff that I have to take care of, but I will certainly try if I can make it work. That covers my live stream. This is a strong fucking drink. Again, I know it's piss colored, but it is really good. I think I put the last bit that I had of the bottle in it, so it's probably about a 2.5, 3 shots worth, so it's pretty strong. Anyway, Quadzilla, thanks again. Appreciate you being here.